this movie has some really powerful moments. Hello, welcome to Just My Thoughts. I'm your host Khaleel Ward. On this episode, I'll be talking about One Night in Miami. It's a movie based on a stage play of the same name. It was directed by Regina King. It stars Leslie Odom Jr., Kinsley Ben-Adir, Eli Gorey, Aldris Hodge. They respectively play Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, and Jim Brown. It takes place in February in Miami, right after Cassius Clay becomes the heavyweight champion of the world, fighting and defeating Sonny Liston. And they meet up in a hotel room. And I didn't know what to expect, you know, when I read about, this movie and I seen the trailer. I didn't know what they were going to do. I knew they were going to talk and have conversations, but I wasn't sure if they're going to be going, different places. But it's a movie that a lot of it takes place in this hotel room, and it's not a big fancy hotel room. Um, like when we get introduced to the characters, we see, a little bit what they're doing, and Sam Cooke in particular is in this, fancy hotel at the Fountain Blue in Miami, and everybody else is in like smaller digs. And they all meet in Malcolm X's room, and it's a small little motel, and even Cook when he gets there, he's like, "This is a dump." But they all meet there, and it's quiet. It's not a party. It was mainly for them to talk and have conversations about the future and their dreams and their desires. During the civil rights movement. For Black people, and everybody has their own agenda for attending this particular meeting that I'm not going to spoil, but it's not just all fun and games with these guys. They're friends, and they like being around one another, but it gets serious. There's conflict. They go at each other. They hold each other accountable, and it's a lot of clashing between Sam Cooke and Malcolm X. Malcolm is telling him that he has a voice to move mountains and to change the world for Black people, and Cooke is not really trying to hear him about being a Muslim and Nation of Islam and everything. So they go back and forth, but it even they got to a point where they got physical with each other, but it never gets to a point where they hate one another. It just shows that you can meet with your friends and you can talk and have those tough conversations, where you're not always on the same page. And, they would hear each other out. And, it's just some really powerful moments in here where it comes after the argument, then it's like quiet. And then just that's when you get all the jewels, from these actors. And I want to highlight all the performances. It was great. I think Eli Gorey, I hope I'm saying his name right, Canadian actor. He plays Cassius Clay, and he sounds like him. I thought, like I said, Cooke and Malcolm X were really going at each other. But Malcolm was fiery, like Malcolm X is. Pushing the Black agenda. That they all need to be weapons for Black people. Sam Cooke was more laid back for the most part, except when he was talking with Malcolm. Just talking about his music and doing things in terms of empowering Black artists. Jim Brown was very quiet. He was calm. He was soft spoken. But like when things blew up, he would talk to an individual, and when he spoke, everybody listened. Everybody respected Jim. It seemed like they respected him the most. Between the four of them, Cassius was the youngest. He was soaking things up, but he said some really powerful things, and it was just good. Everybody got a chance to shine, and give their little speech, their little monologues, and just say something impactful that everybody in the room listened, and it was cool. It's very quiet a lot of the times. It's very subtle. It's not a big action packed movie in terms of like them yelling all the time to get their point across. I just had a good time with it. It was moments where they would just start talking and I'd just be locked in, listening to what they were saying. And, they all made great points, great valid points. So I think it's very important if you're going to have these conversations with your friends when you get together and you talk about issues and you talk about the world and everything that's going on outside. Don't listen, be open to listen, to hear people's perspective, what they're saying about certain things, because everybody thinks differently. And some person might have a perception about something and if you listen to what they're saying, you can get a better understanding. So One Night in Miami, I think, is something you should check out. I had a good time with it. It's definitely up there. It's probably the top movie that I've watched so far this year. It was really good. It's fantastic. If you have Amazon, check it out. If you watched it, let me know what you thought about it. In terms of performances, who stood out the most for you? I'm a big Aldous Hodge fan. But I really, like I said, Eli Gorey, his Cassius Clay was just, it was great. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Deuces.